Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another, trying to think of a good adjective, so another remarkable session of ENG3E. That's grade 11 Workplace Preparation English, brought to you by WASA Distance Education Center. And of course, uh, yours truly, Mike Laverty, the English teacher at WASA. Today's date is Thursday, April the 6th, 2023, and today's date marks class 31 of our 34 classes together. So after today's class, we'll have 3 more classes next week, and then we'll have this course wrapped up. So today's class will be our final discussion of Unit 5. So we'll be discussing the culminating activity that we started on Tuesday. On Tuesday we looked at part A. Yesterday's class we looked at part B, and then today we're gonna I'll continue with my live demonstration of trying to put these two assignments together, and I'm gonna bounce back and forth between them and just try to make each one better. So we wrote an outline for them, and after creating an outline, then I started to type up some of my notes. So for those of you who are listening on the air or only have the audio of this recording, I'll do my best to just dictate what I have written down, and then together we'll work through this and demonstrate how you can do this on your own too, right? So I think I thought about the best way to work on this assignment and how to show students how they can work on their assignments. So you have to bring a lot to the table in a sense for this assignment. You have to rely upon your own memories of growing up, and you have to kind of think back to your own experiences of being a student and that kind of thing, right? So, but then I'm hoping that by listening to me talk about my experiences and just seeing how I would write this assignment, then you yourself can get some inspiration and then see where you would like to take your assignment. So here's some important dates to keep in mind. This is week 8 of term 2A. So next week will be our final week. So this, it's good to remind everybody, this is we broadcast this course for 9 weeks. Today's the last day in week 8, and so there are 9 weeks in total. So next week's the last one, and we'll have 3 classes next week. Please note that we are closed tomorrow for Good Friday. So that's Good Friday is tomorrow. That's Friday, April the 7th, 2023. So our office will be closed. I know that a lot of the learning centers will be closed as well. So just keep that in mind. So you may have a hard time reaching out and finding someone to talk to this weekend, and you may have to wait until Tuesday until people are back in the office and back answering their phones and their emails. So no class Friday. Sorry, no WASA is closed on Friday, but we will not be broadcasting on Monday, as that's also a holiday. So next week we'll start on the Tuesday the 11th. And so we'll do April 11th, 12th, and 13th. Those will be our last 3 classes. So just keep that in mind, right? So 3 classes next week, and we got a 4-day weekend coming up where the office is going to be closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Graduation day is June the 15th. Oh, one more thing. The registration deadline for term 2B is April the 11th. So that's the deadline to. Just realizing I'm doing green on green here. Yeah, so the deadline to register for term 2A, that's going to be this coming Tuesday. And that also ties in with my final update, in that graduation day is scheduled for June 15th. So I had a graduation meeting with some other WASA staff members, and we're really excited to welcome graduates to Sioux Lookout and to see them receive their diplomas and have a nice celebration and just really just honor all the hard work they put in. So I want to give a shout out to those who are very close to graduating, and also just give some encouragement to those who are submitting work for this school year, and just keep that June 15th deadline in your mind, and just know that you can't transfer schoolwork from this year to the next year. So once that June 15th date comes and goes, you are no longer able to submit work, and you can't just resubmit your work from this year next year, right? It doesn't just like stay on file. You have to have it done before that date. So really kind of keep in mind how much time you have left, and we've got a little bit over. You've got a little bit over 2 months to finish this course, to finish any other courses you may have going on on or any other courses you have right now. So just reach out to me, reach out to a counselor at WASA. That's what we're here for. We can help walk you through what's happening, and we can walk you through your path to graduation, or if not graduation, just your path to getting a few credits this year. So on to our course schedule. We have units 1, 2, 3, and 4 all wrapped up, and then after today, the end of week 8, we should have unit 5 wrapped up. And then week 3, we'll have 3 classes, and all of those 3 classes will be devoted to preparing you for the final exam. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. I'll be giving you some tips and some strategies for taking a final exam, and then we're just going to do a whole bunch of mock questions, right? So it's mock in the sense that it's similar to what you're going to get on the final exam. I'm going to do my best to give you some examples and give you some real practice, and and it should sort of solidify some understanding and just sort of give you some practice, and I might even assign some readings outside of our textbook, something like that, right? So just give you some readings you can do, or maybe I might even look at some of the textbook readings and just say what if we looked at some of these examples, and what if this was on your final exam? What would the questions look like? Thanks for tuning in live. If you're listening to us on the airwaves, that's 91.9 FM, broadcasting out of the Sioux Lookout studio. Or maybe you're listening on Bell ExpressVu, channel 972. Please note you can always phone the studio at 1-800-465-7144. That's our toll-free long-distance number. Or you can phone 1-807-737-4017 and ask a question. Or you can participate on Zoom. So a lot of our classes are on Zoom. So if you go to Zoom, open up the app on your phone, or just go to zoom.us, type in the word, or click on the join button. My meeting ID is 417-6699-799. All of the ENG3E videos are on many playlists that you'll find on my YouTube channel. So if you search for Laverty Wassa, my YouTube channel will come up, and you can just simply select ENG3E from the many playlists. I also have ENG4E on there, and I have OLC4O, which are the English courses that I teach here at Wassa. You can contact me directly through email. That's mlaverty@nnecschools.org. Or you can find me on Facebook. That's Laverty Wasa, Laverty space WAHSA. So just look for Laverty Wasa on Facebook. You'll find my professional Facebook account, and you can ask me questions on there, send me assignments. That's the main means of communication for many of my students. You can phone the WASA building at 1-807-737-1488 or toll free at 1-800-667-3703. That's our free long distance number. Phone that number, especially if you've got questions about the upcoming graduation date, if you've got questions about your coursework, how to submit work, needing support, getting questions answered. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you finish your courses. We're here to help you get your credits. So just feel free to reach out to us over here at WASA, and there's plenty of staff members who are just waiting to assist you and give you the help that you need. I'd like to note that if you're following along with the classes, we're about 7.5 weeks into our lessons, so you should have basically all of units 1, 2, and 3 taken care of, and you should have started working on assignments 4 and have most of unit 4 done and be on to unit 5. And I think it's good to repeat that we structure our courses on a 9-week schedule, where students are you're in the course for 9 weeks, and there's 9 weeks of broadcasts, and then typically what happens is there's a week after that, an admin week, where you write your final exam, and then or you complete a course culminating activity, which is like a final exam, but it is given out to students, and they can write it on their own time, and then they kind of hand it back through the DEC and then on to myself. Whereas the final exam is a timed exam that it's scheduled for 2 hours. Once the timer starts, you start writing, and then that's it. You don't get any more time after that. But the culminating activity gives you more time to work on it. It's not timed, but it'll actually take you longer. So it should take you longer. But so depending on writing the final exam is the preferred option. That's the option we try to make happen. But if we can't get someone to sit with you while you write your final exam, then we will do the course culminating activity. All right, so that brings us to today's lesson. So we're looking at the quotes of the day. That's our number one thing. Then we'll move on to the culminating activity. We will be revising and editing parts A and B. And then our learning goals for today are to take notes on the required elements of the culminating activity. So once again, just paying attention. So I think actually today I'm going to have a look at the title page, right? And just make sure you get all those criteria done. So we'll pay attention to the required elements, what you need to do to get full marks on these assignments. We will review the writing process while watching a live demonstration on editing and revising. So that's you're going to watch me as I work on these assignments as best I can. Your success criteria are to reflect upon your own experiences and select several moments from your life to discuss in the culminating activity. So that's what I mentioned at the start of the class. You're bringing lots to the table. You need to reflect upon your own life, and my job is I can just sort of demonstrate how you take those memories and take those moments and how you turn them into like a short essay about your life that you can then share with your teacher, and then hopefully get some good marks on it. And it's good to note that this culminating activity is different than the other 4. So this is unit 5 of this course, and we we did culminating activities 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those were sort of rolled in with your course work mark. 70% of your final grade in this course is your unit assignments. So that's all the unit assignments from units 1, 2, 3, 4, and the culminating assignments, and all the unit work from unit 5. And so that's 70%. And then 10% of your final grade is the culminating activity that we're doing today. So this assignment is worth 10%. So it's the, it's a big chunk of that grade. And then the remaining 20% will be for your final exam or your course culminating activity. So you'll do that, and then you'll work towards your first draft. So hopefully after watching this class and watching my live demonstration, you will be well upon your way to having a first draft of your assignment. So with that in mind, I'd like to share some quotes of the day. I've picked 3 of them. And I just Googled inspirational community quotes, quotes about community, that kind of thing, right? And so this is something you may want to do, right? You may want to incorporate a quote from a famous author or writer and just sort of comment on it, like, especially if you think it's true, or it rings true to you, or it just helps you write. It's kind of gives you a sounding board in a sense, or like just a way to, yeah, like sometimes you find a quote and you're just like, yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I agree with that idea, that sentiment. And then you take that quote and then you apply it to your life, and you sort of say, like, yeah, this author says this. They thought this was true, and maybe they wrote it 100 years ago in a different part of the world, but yeah, it rings true for you, and it makes sense for you and your life. So the first quote is from Marianne Williamson, and she says, "In every community there is work to be done. In every nation there are wounds to heal. In every heart there is the power to do it." So I like that, right? So there's always the kind of the essential work to be done is there to be done, and and every nation needs to heal, and then maybe more importantly, in every person there's that heart, there's that power to make sure it happens. Mark Hyman is quoted as saying, "The power of community to create health is far greater than any physician, clinic, or hospital." So I love that quote, and I think that speaks to health on like a much deeper level, like what it means to be healthy and what it means to be a human being, right? So, a community that's what it's there for. And the final quote is from the author Dorothy Day, and she says, "We have all known the long loneliness, and we have learned that the only solution is love, and that love comes with community," right? So I think that, life can be lonely at time, and life can certainly be hard, and we would be nothing without our families and our communities. So life is sometimes about finding your own place in this world and finding your own strength, but I think often your strength is very much related to the people in your life and how they've supported you and how you support them. Okay, so with that being said, we'll jump back in with the second half of the class here. So we're looking at our culminating activity, and what I would like to focus on just right off the bat is both Part A and Part B ask you to do a title page, and then you must include a picture or sketch. That's your name, the course, and the date. So that's Part A. And then Part B is the same way, a title page to include a picture or sketch, your name, the course, and the date. So I will look up. So this is so on my. Hopefully I'm sharing that. Yeah. So on my screen I'm sharing Part A. This was the outline that I created for my outline for Part A. And so the title page doesn't have to be that, that complicated. It can just simply be, um, what the requirements asked for. If you think you can draw something, and you've got some artistic ability, then for sure you can do that. If not, you can maybe just find like an image from the internet that you can just sort of you can use for this assignment, and just find something that you might want to put there. So what we need is we need the title. So I'm going back to Part A. So I need a title page that will include a picture or sketch, your name, the course, and the date, right? So and then of course the title of the assignment. So title, picture, name, course, and date. All right, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to go back to my blank document here. So this is the title. So I don't know why I can't remember 3 things: name, course, and date. Okay. So you've got my name, Mike Laverty. The course is not OLC, it's ENG3E. Today's date is April 6th, 2003. So I've got my name, I have the course, I have the date, and this is the Unit 5 culminating activity. And I'll just pull out my handout. So I have all this stuff in front of me. So on page 7 of the Unit 5 handout for ENG3E, so I see that this is Unit 5 culminating activity. The road. This is sort of like the main title, and that is the road I have taken. The road I have taken and the road ahead. So that's the full title. That's the full title of this assignment. I'm going to center that right in the middle of my page. So we're just going to do a bit of formatting. Maybe I'll put it in bold and give it like, let's see here. That's too big. Yeah, I'm going to give it a large font. Let's just go with there we go. We'll use a nice 18-point font. So I've got my title up at the top. And then I'm going to put a space, and I'm going to put Part A. And Part A is known as is your personal assessment. Personal assessment dash education and success. Okay. So I'm happy with that, and then of course we need like some kind of a sketch to go along with this. So a sketch or an image that we can find online. And if I go back to what I had written here, so this first part of the assignment, it starts with that quote: having a good education is key to success in life. So you need to comment on that quote, what you think about it. So we've got, and then you comment on what it means to be successful and the role in which education is played for you. So this is about education, success, my post-secondary plans, if any. So, So me personally, I might open up a Google search. And I mentioned yesterday, and I think I mentioned it in the first day we were working on this, is that even though it's going to be online and I'm not going to be actually attending this university, yeah, I might put this university down. So yeah, that's a nice, beautiful image of one of the university buildings. Got the beautiful ivy kind of crawling on the looks sort of like a castle, right? So if I'm just going to copy this image and I'm going to put it into my Word document. Have that nice and centered. Just give that a moment to load up. Okay, so there we go. So I've got my title page. So I like that. So I might unbold this, turn that into italics. So what I've done is I've used a large font. Like I've used an 18-point font for my title, like and it reads Unit 5 hyphen culminating activity. And then below that it says, it might put a colon in there. And then below it says the road I have taken and the road ahead. Part A, personal assessment, education, and success. And then I'll probably use that same size font. Make it bold. What did I decide upon? A 16-point font. And then I've got, yeah, Mike Laverty. I'm using the pipes here. That's right above the Enter key on most keyboards. You'll see a vertical line. It's also the forward slash. So yeah, so that's good. That's all you really have to do. And then I'm just gonna go File, Save As, go to my desktop, and I'm gonna save this. So that's Unit 5 Culminating Activity, Part A, Title Page. And there we go. So that's, I've double checked the criteria, and as long as you double check the criteria and you don't make any spelling mistakes and all of your stuff is in there, and as long as I can see how your sketch is relevant to what you're discussing, then by all means you're done. That's great. So, and then I would just simply copy and paste the formatting for part B. So I've already saved this document on my desktop, and I saved it as Unit 5, capital CA, so Culminating Activity, Part A, Title Page. And now I'm going to go to File, Save As, save it back to my desktop, and I'm going to save it as Part B, Title Page. And then now all I have to do is go in and change the second part of my heading. So instead of saying Part A, Personal Assessment, Education, and Success, I'm going to write Part B. And Part B is an essay. So essay hyphen my community, comma, my home. And, given that I was writing about my hometown of Sulikout, it makes sense for me to, go back to my Google search and type in Sioux Lookout, Ontario. See what comes up. Got some nice aerial shots of Sioux Lookout. We've got some float planes. Like this is some pretty classic Sioux Lookout imagery. Let's just see. We got Front Street. We've got an advertisement for Confederation College. We've got the photo of the underpass. Looks like we've got someone has taken a nice fall photograph of Cedar Bay. That's very, very beautiful. That's one of my favorite spots in Sulikout, which I'm sure is I'm sure is the case with a lot of people. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll type in Sulakout. And yeah, maybe you could do the same. You could pick like a favorite spot in your community and just see if you can pick out a nice image to include there. So, well, there we go. So the Friends of Cedar Bay have a beautiful photograph of Cedar Bay. I'm going to use that for now. Okay, and I just got to go back to my title page for part B, and I'm going to erase my photo of Queen's University and replace it with a nice shot of Cedar Bay. And that's it. That's all you really got to do. So now, this assignment is worth it's graded on a total of 75 marks. And 10 of those marks are your title pages, right? So once you've got that done, and that should really only take you, about 10 minutes, maybe even less if you're organized and you just kind of use my model as a template, then that's about, wow, let's do the math exactly. Let's not guess. 10 divided by 75. That's 13% of your assignment. That's done, right? That's a big chunk already taken care of, right? So I'm going to File, Save As, go to my desktop. So now I've got 2 title pages saved to my desktop. And I'm very happy with that. Okay, I'm going to go back into Part A. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go into my Part B. So yesterday, what we did was we looked at we looked at the criteria for this assignment. We marked off all the required elements that you need to get the full marks done. And then I identified 3 parts, 3 things that I have to talk about if I want to get full marks for this assignment. And those 3 things that we identified were, and then actually what I did is like an additional method was I phrased them as questions. So part 1 asked the question, what are my memories and feelings? What are my memories and feelings, I should probably say of or about growing up in my community? The second one was, do I see myself moving on from this community for new experiences? And then I had part 3 was, can I think of anything that our community needs now to make it better, right? So and then once I had written down those 3 headings, and if you go back to yesterday's class, you can see where I started to fill in the blanks and started to just type in what I needed to do to fill in those sections. So I wasn't really concerned about how I'm gonna fit these 3 pieces together. I just knew that I had to get some content. I knew I had to write about those 3 things. And then after I had written those 3 things, I picked out a sentence from each part that I really, really enjoyed. So, the one sentence from part 1 that I liked was, it reads as follows: I now see my community through the eyes of our boys and want this to be a place where they are supported and can thrive. And then the second one was, do I see myself moving on from this community for new experiences? So we are surrounded by thousands of fresh lakes and beautiful forests. And then in part 3, I wrote, I think Sulakout needs to figure out what it is trying to be and what it should be. So maybe what I'll do now is I probably add a few more, at least one more sentence. So I would say, if if our family, made the decision to move to a different community, I hope it would be one that is immersed in nature, right? So I think that's definitely an important decision for me. I'm just typing this now. Living in a I like living I like living in a small community, but I like living in a small community and I would not be as happy, you know, um, living in a city that is removed. Living in a city um, that is removed from nature. And I'm kind of repeating myself, so I would go back and sort of change this a little bit and make it a little bit cleaner, right? So that's kind of what I did for part B yesterday. And then if I jump back into part A, so maybe what I'll do is I'll just read out what I had. So and that's what you do. Like you sort of you get a bunch of writing down, you let it sit for a bit. In this case, it's been 2 days since I've revisited this, so not a whole lot of time, but usually when you let a piece of writing sit and then you come back to it, your brain will have made different connections in the background, and you can just sort of yeah, you'll be surprised at the new ideas that sort of flood into your mind. So hopefully that happens today. So I'll just read it out loud what I had written on Tuesday's class. Success is usually defined by how much money you make, the kind of job you have, the things you can afford, and the house you can buy. If that's what success means to you, then I agree. Then I agree that getting a good education will be helpful. However, if we think about success in other terms, such as simply being happy, wanting to go to work each day, or living with people you love, then it gets a bit more complicated. I think that getting a formal education is one part of becoming successful in life, but it's not everything. Pursuing education has given me several employment opportunities in my life. I also worked several jobs in my life that didn't require me to have formal education. I have learned I have learned about life through my experiences in the workplace, through my friends and other relationships, my experience as a father, reading books on my own time. I guess what I'm saying is that the word education also needs to be explained or defined. And my last paragraph reads, I am pursuing additional qualifications to keep my certification as a teacher in Ontario while also improving my skills and knowledge. I had to take I had to take four I had to take 4 courses to fully complete my certification. I learned to be a better teacher by reading books about education, being a father, staying up to date on how education changes. My own definition of success leads me to dot dot dot. So I didn't really complete that thought. So let's see. My own definition of success leads me to I don't really like that there. I'm just gonna cut. I'm gonna cut it out of there, and I'm gonna paste it into my first paragraph, which is you know where I talked about success and education and defining them. So maybe what I'll do is, and I know a lot of what I'm saying is dependent on you having a word processing program, and then you can do these things with a pen and a pad, right? In the old school way, but you need some way of tracking your progress. So either by taking photographs, before you edit things and that kind of thing, right? So I would suggest doing that way, just to see the various stages and not losing your work. And another key requirement of this assignment that we need to focus on is the fact that you're doing a rough copy and a final copy. And not just that, you can't just submit version 1 and version 2. You have to edit the rough version. Your rough draft has to be edited, and so you have to either on a computer or some other method, you have to cross out your edits. And I would strongly suggest that you print off your rough copy, and then you take a pen and you actually mark up the piece of paper you printed it off, and cross out words and change spellings and fix this and fix that, and move this over here. And then basically you're just giving directions to yourself. You're giving directions to a future you who is gonna, either a future you like 5 minutes from now, or the future you of 2 days from now, who's gonna pick up this revised copy and be like, okay, these are my instructions, do this, do that. And that's really what you're doing, right? You're, in a very real sense, you're having a conversation with yourself when you're doing this kind of editing. And if you're lucky, or if you're lucky enough to have a person you trust enough, and that person has enough reading and writing skills that you trust their opinion, then you and that person can have like a back and forth, and you and that person can have a conversation. But we don't always have that luxury, and sometimes it's just us, and we only have our own minds to work with. But that's okay, because like I said, like in a very real sense, you're having a conversation with yourself. You're like, okay, do this, don't do that, change this, change that around, and then you come back to it, and then you make it better. So you will need to sort of show some signs of revision. So with that in mind, if I go back to part A, so that's sort of what I would suggest doing, is just like get a whole bunch of text done for your rough copy. And that's why it's good to save like multiple drafts. Like if you're working on a word processor, you might want to save, like, I'm not sure if I already saved this one as, but I'm going to do it now. I'm going to save it as April. This is my April 6th. This is like version, call it version 2, April 6th. To make it distinct, to make it different from the version I was working on a couple days ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clean up some of my notes to myself, which is, what I had done, right? But now I feel like I'm going to clean this one up, and this is going to become my rough copy. So I am going to take what I have, put that into a header, and I'm going to erase my paragraph headings, right? So what I had done, and I did this for part A and part B, I had given myself like some headings. So in this case, paragraph 1, and it was essentially just instructions to myself. So for paragraph 1, do this, do that. Now I'm going to delete those instructions to myself. And right, I had a note to myself here. Talk about the difference between formal and informal education. Okay. I think that getting a formal education is one part of becoming successful in life, but it's not everything. I'm going to say I also believe that my definition of success has changed over time. I think that getting a formal education is one part of becoming successful in life, but it's not. It's not everything. We are always, we are always learning. I'm not sure how to say that without sounding too cliche, but it's true though. We are always learning. We are always learning, and many of the most important lessons are I don't know, are learnt, happen outside of a classroom. All right, so good enough there. I can sort of delete my notes to myself from before. I'm also doing a bit of formatting here. So we should talk about that formatting, especially if you're using a Word document. So I've noticed that the instructions for your written assignments don't specify things such as font size and like word count and how you should format it. But I'd like to provide you with my thoughts on that, and I think this is more or less consistent with what most English teachers are going to ask for you. So if you take future English courses through WASA, or if you end up taking English courses at a post-secondary level, it's good to know this stuff, and it's just good to know if you wanna be a writer, either a fiction writer or someone who just works with the written language and publishes and communicates and writes reports and things like that, right? So you may need these skills in a workplace setting. And every workplace is going to have their own specific criteria for how they write things, and they're all going to have their own sense of style and how things are formatted. But this is just how I think this one should be. So I've got my paragraphs divided, and so I've got 3 paragraphs. There's 1 full space between each paragraph. I'm going to highlight all of my writing. And if you're using a Word document, if you go to the paragraph, you right-click on a bunch of text, you hit paragraph. See, the spacing here is I'm gonna do double spaced. So I'm gonna double space that, and that's what that should look like more or less. So double spacing is nice, and double spacing, the way I've just done it, is great for editing documents, right? So when you and I probably should have mentioned this earlier, because I often get work from students, and it's single spaced, and that's fine, and I can work with that. But the double spacing makes it a lot easier for an editor to make notes on the page, and whether or not that editor is you, or that editor is your teacher, or someone who's working with you to make your writing better. If you double space your work, it adds that much more room for people to write comments, and it just makes that editing process that much more seamless. I've got 253 words here, so I would probably add a few more words. I would probably try to get up to about 300. What did I? Trying to think back to what I had said to you about how long this thing should be. Yeah, so in approximately 3/4 of a page of writing. Right, part B was the longer one. That was about 2 pages handwritten. So that one's going to be much longer. Um, that one's probably going to be about a page and a half by the time I'm done with that one. Oh, I wish we had more time to do these things, but it's just it's hard to get it all done in one session, right? But this, like what we're looking at here for my part A, um, I think is very close to what I would submit for a rough copy. Let's just, you know, I am pursuing additional qualifications to keep my certification as a teacher in Ontario. I have to take 4 courses to fully complete my certification. I learned to be a better teacher. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I might. Yeah, and that's sort of what I'm getting at is that I would say that my my ability to teach is determined by the formal, let's see, education I pursued, the formal education I did, I achieved, um, is determined by both the formal education I earned, I did. I don't know. We'll just go with did. The formal. Let's just say by both my formal education and my life experience. And I could, say something like, I define my success as a teacher similarly to how I define my success in life, and that is, reaching, maybe connecting with people and hopefully making their lives better. Connecting with people, hopefully making their lives better and helping them realize their own potential. Yeah, so there you go. So that's fine for now. I might add a bit more to this middle paragraph too, but that's pretty close to, what I would do for my yeah, that's about 300 words right there. So what I would do now is I would save this to my desktop. I've saved it as my April 6th version. I would print this version out and then I would read it back to myself and then I would like make sure I didn't spell anything wrong and I would cross words out and I would see ways that I could improve this document and ways that I could make it better. So I would print this document out, take a picture of it, and then or print it off, and then I would start to mark it up with a pen and edit it as best I could. Once I was done editing it, I would take a picture of that and document that or scan it or whatever way. You have to document your edit somehow. And then I would come back to it a third time and then I would type out my final copy. The final copy that would be included, and that's what I would submit. So I would have my title page, my rough copy with edits, and my final copy with my final thoughts on this. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this. I wish we could spend more time on it, but I'm hoping that gives you some strategies and it gives you a roadmap for how to complete your culminating activity. Thank you for tuning in. Have an awesome Easter weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday, April the 11th, where we'll delve into the final exam.